So this is your post-observation meeting after I observed your lesson the other day. I just wanted to start off by going through some notes that I have from your observation, things that I noticed. What I typically do during an observation is I script, and I try to get as many quotes from you and students as I can, and then I use that as evidence for your rubric and your scores. So you did a great job in the beginning of class with reviewing the UDHR and different human rights that the students have already learned. You gave the students a differentiated quiz in the beginning, and you really did a good job with pacing by telling them that they have about 5 minutes for the quiz, and that there was only 2 questions and it shouldn't take them more than that. You had 3 different levels for the quizzes, low, medium, and high.
Mhm.
You gave them directions for after the quiz, which was good, so they knew what they were supposed to do. After you read through the learning targets on the board, the students had a clear idea of what they were going to do in the lesson. I liked that you had, after the whole group review, you got the students into small groups, and I had a question. Did you design the groups in any specific way?
Yeah, I designed them based on their academics. I put a high-end student, medium student, and then a low-end student together. That way it will help engage more conversation amongst them.
Awesome. Yeah, they definitely had a great dynamic in each of the groups.
I noticed with my one class, because I teach in 3 different classes, that it's tougher with one class, but the other classes work well.
As I was circulating around, there were a couple of groups that had some chatty students in there, but you were right there to give them redirection, so that was awesome. You wanted me to look at behaviors during transitions between activities, and I noticed between the 2 activities, you gave perfect directions, and the transition from one activity to the next took less than a minute. You used things like give me 5 to get their attention, or class, 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 and they would respond by yes, yes, yes. You also asked me to, notice specific student behaviors, and there were a couple of students that I noted that would talk during instruction, but as soon as you would move over to them, they would immediately stop. So I would just maybe suggest keeping close proximity to those students. Your conversation with the students as they were working in groups was very helpful, I think, for them to keep their conversation flowing. You asked them probing questions to keep them going, and then gave them further directions when they were already finished. You did double-sided notes with the students on the STAR board, so you used technology. Like I said, you did, give more directions to the students that were already finished, so they had something to do and they were kind of keeping out of trouble while the rest of the groups were still working. There's one specific student that I noted during the lesson. You could probably guess who that was. So you might want to take a look at his, behavior management plan and reevaluate that. Your wait time, you also asked me to look at that. I observed adequate wait time. There was no occasion where you asked a question and then immediately, got the answer and moved on. And you called on a variety of students. I tried to keep track of what students you called on, but I think you got to just about every student at one point or another. So some warm feedback that I have for you, like I said, there was, good directions at the beginning of every activity. You circulated throughout the room during group work, and you gave additional activities or directions to people or students that were already finished. And then the variety of activities that you had during the lesson I thought was great. That you started whole group, went to small groups, and then you pulled specific students apart from their group if they needed it. So how did you feel transition times went?
It went well for the most part. There was one student that I think we mentioned earlier that quite often gets off task. He does have a behavioral plan, but with that, it seems like, again, with proximity, and I had to speak to a couple of them at different times, and when it got them back on track pretty quickly. But it's something we're working on with those students.
Yeah, so I think definitely just staying close to those students, like you did, but just keeping to do that. The other thing that I would suggest to you, and you did it somewhat, but asking more open-ended questions, and after getting the first answer, instead of saying, that's great, let's, I agree with that, or whatever, respond by asking another student what they think and keep rolling with that. That way you get more conversation going with students.
I noticed that, especially with the more higher end vocabulary words that we're trying to get them used to.
Yeah, absolutely. But other than that, I think it was a great lesson. I really could tell that the students remembered things that you taught in the beginning of the year and were able to apply it to a new piece of reading that they're currently doing. So, do you have any questions for me?
No, not really at this time.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
though.
Well, thank you. If you have any questions, email me.
Will do.
Or stop down.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.